Welcome to Not a Great Whisperer podcast. This is your host, Katy Ray. I am joined with Maria Parrilla, also said Parrilla. Did I say it? Did I nail it?
Yes.
Okay, she's laughing at me, but it's fine. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you.
We connected at an event, Amplify event. I remember you standing up and saying you were a veteran.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This woman right here. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And you and your business partner, who will be on eventually this podcast too, own a bridal events company?
Wedding
events company, which is awesome.
Thank you.
So you're just kind of killing it. But I want to talk about like how you got started, all the things, all the important topics. You have your own podcast.
I do. I just started.
Yeah?
So yes.
Awesome. So let's talk about it. So tell me a little bit about your life. I know you grew up in Tampa. We can go from there.
I grew up in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, wait, I didn't thank you for joining. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Actually, got raised with my great-grandparents. And from there, they pretty much taught me just the value of life and just never give up on yourself. I went to Hillsborough High School. I graduated with honors. And right afterwards, I joined the military. And from there, my journey pretty much started in the military.
Yeah. Being raised by your great-grandparents, you and your sister.
Yes,
you're the oldest.
Sister.
How was that through school? I was saying great-grandparents, so my mom is a great-grandparent right now because my niece had a kid. So like in my head, I'm like, wow.
Yes.
That's kind of amazing because I love the relationship my kids have with their grandparents. And I think that just like instilled so much just from the get-go in you.
Yeah, my grandparents, or my grandmother more or less, she grew up, she actually raised us with her mom and her dad, and they were next door. So we were neighbors.
Yeah.
But growing up, it was a little difficult because my parents were never around. So in school, I'd always get kind of sad because, it was bring your mom or dad and dad to school, or, bring your daughter to work. And my grandparents didn't work. So it's kind of like we still had to go to school. But around like 13 is when my great-grandfather had passed, and then my great-grandmother had passed when I was 19. So my grandmother raised us both at the age of 12.
Wow.
And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel like you learned a lot.
Yeah, we learned to take things slow as kids and take things as a grain of salt. Right now, it's kind of reliving everything when we were kids. Just taking life for what it is and just valuing it. Yeah. And yeah, that's really it.
So what made you want to get into the military?
My great-grandfather served in World War II, and his stories growing up were remarkable and heroic. So I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. I never thought I would join ROTC in high school, but my command sergeant major at the time, he was pushing me to join. And so I did. I joined when I was a sophomore in high school, and I probably could say I would never look back.
That's really awesome.
So yeah, at 17, I signed to join the Florida Army National Guard, and I left that after high school, or after graduation, I left to basic.
You're so young.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to look back on?
A little, because I missed out a lot of my high school years, and I missed out a lot of my 20 years, my years in the 20s. Yeah.
Years in your, my 20s. Life in 20s, life in your 20s.
I lost a lot of that. And so now it's kind of like I have to, pick myself back up to where I left off. But I wouldn't change it for anything. It was an experience.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have the stories now. That was 8 years?
Yes. I served 8 years in the military.
So how hard was that getting back to
the civilian life? A little difficult. Still kind of getting into it. So
I know you're an advocate for veterans and just PTSD and mental health and everything. So what was your turning point where you knew that you needed more support?
Probably right after I got back from my deployment. I was hospitalized after my deployment for a couple days. And then I pretty much was isolated from friends and family for a good 2-3 years.
Wow.
And yeah.
So during that like time though, what was the hardest part was all of it, but like what were the times that you kind of knew you needed help? Like
my mental health was draining. It was slowly diminishing. I mean, honestly, like right now it's still diminishing because it's never over. Yeah. It's always a battle.
Always. Yeah.
And I decided that I needed to get out of my room after 6 months of isolating myself. Yeah. So I decided to get a job, get into some type of retail so that my mind is always busy. So from there I joined a skating rink to kind of get into a hobby. Okay. So I found that skating is kind of a release for me when it comes to mental health. And I always push for, if you have some type of mental health disability, or if you can't talk to someone or anything like that, just pick up a hobby and just do it and stay with it. So I started picking up skating, and then right afterwards I got into bridal. That was crazy. I never thought I'd do bridal ever.
I love that.
Never. I was a tomboy. I played sports in high school, basketball, volleyball.
You just have this badass presence to you. So it's like walking into a bridal show, you're like, I'm a beautiful badass here. I love it.
It was very strange because I remember sitting in front of my TV watching Say Yes to the Dress. Oh my gosh, that show's ridiculous. And I saw it and I was like, this is so easy. Someone is just putting on a dress on a woman and
selling it, basically.
Selling it and telling them, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. And it is their special day. I've been there. And so literally as I was watching, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to apply.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Say yes to the dress. Thank you for that motivation. I watched that and Ellen on maternity leave, my first 3 months, just straight through. Ellen, Say Yes to the Dress. Ellen saying it was so every time someone gets married, I'm like, can I see the pictures of your dress? It's like a really awkward, creepy thing. I don't even know you, but can I see the picture of your dress? So the skate, I love the part of the skating ring, which I didn't know about, because you found that like you're just skating, clearing your head, doing what you need to do to help and support yourself. But what is your take really on what we provide the world for mental health support? Like, what is your opinion on that? Because I feel like we just our stigma around it, just we leave people behind. We don't show community, we show shame. Like, I just feel like we have failed.
It's a little difficult talking to somebody about any type of mental health disability, because growing up, everyone said, "Oh, you're crazy,"
or "You're fine,"
or
"Shake it off."
Yeah, you're fine. Mm-hmm. It's just your past. It's your childhood. You'll get over it. And it's like, no, everybody has something that they're going through that they have to overcome in different ways. Nobody's going to go through it the same way. Yeah. And even now, it's still difficult talking because now it's like this whole take negative energy out of your life, just remove people who are negative. And it's like, we're not negative. We're just going through something that's a little difficult to process.
I love that you brought that up because one of my friends was told like, yeah, it's because you make it awkward what you talk about. But she just talks about real stuff. Mm-hmm. I love talking about real stuff. Mm-hmm. Put me in a room, let's talk about real stuff. And that's what scares people. And it's like, oh, that's so negative. No, it's actually real human topics that are super important. And from that comes vulnerability. And from that comes connection. And from that comes community. And people don't realize, because we all are in this like facade of like, this is my life. It's so perfect. And we're not talking about real stuff. So you're totally right with that, where people are like, just remove toxic people for yourself. No, I'm actually mentally unstable because of what I've been around. So I need to own that and figure out what we're going to do here. But also, remove them. But it's not just like negativity. Like, that's not what it is. It's real conversations.
Yeah, and that's what happened too when, after I was hospitalized, everybody was just like, she's crazy, she's negative, just remove her. And that's what ended up happening is I lost everybody. And it's like, now I'm still on that battle of, is it true? Is it not true? And I'm still trying to accept that in myself. Yeah. That it's okay to talk about it. Yeah. But it's happening everywhere. You can't really talk about your mental health issues because someone is going to view you
dramatic and you're like, what?
They're going to treat you differently. I mean, the VA has a lot of support. You know, I go to the VA for, you know, mental health, and I get free therapy, you know, and that's awesome. You know, they didn't have that back then. Mm-hmm. So now it's like they're taking initiative to help
that's really awesome.
veterans. Mm-hmm. And
which they should.
Yeah. You know, to help active duty people with PTSD. So.
And when you were diagnosed with like PTSD, was it kind of like a shock to you?
Very much. Very much. Because it wasn't just that. It was the anxiety. It was the depression. It's a lot that goes into it. And now it's still hard to accept it, but I have to live through it every day. And I have to challenge myself to get through it. So.
Then you're doing an awesome job. I love that you talk about it. I know it's super hard and every day is super hard, but like the fact that you talk about it and that one time speaking about it can change someone else's life and make them realize like, oh, that person called me crazy. I'm not crazy. Maria's talking, you know, it's such a powerful tool you have. But I know you went through a lot to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still going on.
Oh yeah. No, but like to get to talking about it, like you go through it every day, but to even get the courage to speak up about it is huge.
Yeah, it took a while, and then when the pandemic happened, I was like, you know what, I need to do something. I might as well just, you know, start the podcast and do something. And even during then, it was still difficult because I was reliving.
Because you're talking about it, yeah.
Because I'm talking about it, so I had to pause on it for a little bit because I saw that it was affecting my life.
Yeah.
So
your self-awareness has just heightened throughout all of this.
Very much so.
And starting your business. So tell me about that. How hard was it? How cool is it now?
Well, it was all thanks to my business partner, my best friend. She pretty much was just like, hey, I have a wedding that I'm, you know, helping a friend out. Would you be able to help? And I was like, sure, why not? Something to do. And right afterwards, actually in the middle of it, you know, she was like, hey, do you think we can do this as a business? And I'm like, I don't see why not. She's like, well, let's just do this as a test. We're not charging. And if it's good at the end, we'll do it. Literally the day after we LLC the business.
This was easy. I like it.
It was easy. It was fun. It was fun. And we LLC the business, and we've been in business for 5 years. And it was a little difficult in the beginning because we didn't know how to set our pricing.
Rates and stuff.
We didn't know what to advertise or how to advertise, what to promote. And it's still a growing process because we're only 5 years in. So we're still, you know, technically a new business. But I mean, now we have gotten a routine of our packages. And I actually had a one-on-one with Kevin Hoover, and he was just like, your prices is too low. You got to raise them. I'm like, okay. So we raised our pricing last year, and it's scary for us because it's a huge number.
Yeah.
But it's a service that we have to provide, and we're going to stick to it. And we've been sticking with it.
Awesome.
So
I know it's weird I have you on a Saturday because usually there's an event, right? It's been crazy.
Normally there's an event. We actually had 8 events last week.
Oh, what? Did you say 8?
8.
In a week?
In 2 weeks. 8 in 2 weeks.
Oh, jeez.
So this week is...
That's super cool. That keeps you busy.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like you're a very people person.
I try.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you like people. Sometimes you like people. But that's really cool.
Yeah.
You should feel proud of that.
We have a couple of events coming up next week. We have 3 weddings coming up next week. So, yeah.
How's that rush though? Like when you're in it, you're setting up, you're doing all this stuff. Like how cool is that?
It's awesome. It's awesome. You turn a venue that's blank canvas into a wedding.
Have you always been artistic?
Yes, very much.
Yeah,
since I was a kid.
You do makeup too, right?
I do makeup, graphic design.
Oh shit.
I went to school for computer animation.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, art has always flown through.
Creatives have a cool way of releasing whatever energy is going through them too. I surround myself with creatives for that reason. Oh, yeah. I love it. I just feel it. I think whether you're on your highs or your lows, whatever part, it's super cool. So you do the whole wedding event from start to finish of decoration. So you wait till the end and you have to clean up and all that. Oh shit.
Yes.
Oh my God. So are you at can you be at multiple venues on the same day?
That's why there's 2 of us.
Okay.
At all times.
So you can take on 2 each day?
No, we only take on 1 each day. We are Cecilia is normally at the ceremony while I'm at the reception.
Oh, got it.
Taking
Okay.
care of the setup over there while
Cool.
she's doing the setup over at ceremony.
You get the party.
Yeah.
You get to hang.
Pretty
You're
much.
like, let me get this party
So
scene.
once reception is pretty much set up, I'll go to ceremony and help her out.
Cool.
And then we tag team.
So you're there the whole time?
The whole day.
Oh my
14,
gosh, that's
16
so
hours.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
But are you part of like the schedule, their timeline?
Yes.
Like, so you're doing the full on
Planning.
coordination. Okay, cool.
We are doing everything from beginning to end.
Oh my God, how much fun. That is really cool.
Yeah.
From say yes to the dress till now.
Oh yes, and there's big things in the future for us. So
Yeah, what are some of your guys' goals?
Some of our goals are actually opening up our own location.
Oh, cool.
Building a team.
So would the location have things you can pick, like they get to see it and like for your event, this is what you get to pick? Okay, yeah, so they get to like the whole feel of it, like sitting in there. Cool. Mm-hmm. And then getting a team, of course.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, I can't do all these 100.
We can do it.
That's so cool.
Every week. Yeah.
And does your team, do you also help the bride with her dress and things? Mm-hmm. Oh, how much fun.
Everything.
So it's like a checklist. We go in and you're like, okay, what's the wedding event company called?
Elegant Evening Events.
Elegant Evening Events. Mm-hmm. Am I in and I'm picking checklists of how we want you to support us?
Yeah.
Is that how you do it? Cool.
Yeah. So we recently just booked a bride last week and she has nothing. So we're setting up appointments left and right for her dress appointment, her catering appointment.
I was married 11 years ago, so I don't have all this cool shit. So I get so excited. I'm like, so like, is it a checklist? And you're like, oh my God.
We make it so easy. There is a checklist that we give them.
Oh my gosh. So you have to organize this shit.
Yes.
You and Cecilia are organized as shit. So something that can't be part of your team, I want to offer that. I just want to let you know that I want to, but like I can't because you have to be organized. But that's so cool.
I mean, you can be the MC.
Oh,
you can be the
thank
host.
you.
Yeah.
I love emceeing. I want to be everybody's professional hype person.
Okay.
No, like legit. I think I should take it. Thank you so much for finding my dream on your podcast episode. You're the best, Maria. So tell me, okay, so that's an awesome goal you guys have, and you'll definitely hit it. I don't know the timeline of it, but I can see it. I'm psychic today. But tell me your goals personally for yourself, like, and how you want to help people. Because you already are, just by sharing your story. But I feel like jumping, we have all this like, people are always like, oh, you're talking all the fun stuff. But like, let's talk about the real stuff. Like, what are some of your goals personally? Like, what's some of your hardest days where you need to get out of bed or you need to do like what's your goals for yourself?
I think right now my goals is to just be mentally stable and to know what's real and what's not real. I keep a notebook with me everywhere I go of different tasks that I have to focus on so that I know, all right, this is a real task. This is something I have to do. Huh. And it's also kind of a small journal for me so that I know what's going on around me so that I'm not going back home and playing random scenarios in my head that didn't happen.
Oh, shit.
So that's definitely a goal, is just to be mentally stable so that I don't have to carry around a notebook with me every day.
That's actually really powerful that you've needed to do this, because you're like, I go and you have a scenario in your head that never really happened, but you're playing it over and over in your head and you're like, wait, that didn't happen. So you found a way around that, really. Mm-hmm. So you do read over the notebook when you get home. Yeah. It's really powerful.
So that was definitely a big challenge for me because I've never written in a journal, or I've tried to, but it just brought back up memories, and it's kind of like I have to force myself to do it again. So that would be a goal, is just to be mentally stable. My husband and I, we are, wanting to have kids in the future. Mm-hmm. So that's is a huge goal for us. But I know in order for me to do that, I do have to be mentally stable. So that's probably a bigger goal for me.
How do you manage anxiety in these large groups? Is that ever a problem?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It really depends on where I'm at. I try to stick myself in a corner and just more or less see what's around
look
me.
And
when I hear people say, oh, well, if you're in a crowded room together and you have anxiety, some people can't be in that. They have to remove themselves, which is true. I can't put my back to a window or to a door. I have to sit in front of it so that I can see what's going on.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a crowded room, I more or less observe.
Okay.
I'm very to myself so that I know
You get a little more introverted?
A little more introverted.
Because you're observing everything.
Mm-hmm. I observe everything.
I suffer from anxiety, but I watch my 8-year-old suffer from anxiety. So I always you don't know what to say at that moment, or when he's asking all these questions, if I have to travel somewhere, he's like, when will we be back? How, because you can tell everything's just like
I love hosting parties at my house. Just small
because it's your control, right? Like everything is, and I feel you.
But I still
did you just invite me over? Thank you so much. Welcome. I can't wait to come over for your party.
Christmas Day we have dinner. You can come over. I cook.
Thank you so much for that.
I cook every Christmas.
Yeah, but I feel you on that. So yeah, you're in the atmosphere. It's your.
But I'm in my little corner because I'm still watching. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My husband thinks I'm insane because he's like, just interact with people. I'm like,
no, I'm observing.
No, I'm fine.
So do you notice your balance with you and your husband? Is he more extroverted?
Oh, he's an extrovert. He is such an extrovert. He has to make me laugh. He has to be joking. Kind of annoying at sometimes.
But we love him.
Thank you. Yes. He's definitely a big extrovert. He's a morning person. He always has to make me smile.
You're married to me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm totally all that. I love making people smile. It makes me happy. But that's good, right? And he is completely supportive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the beginning, when he found out, he was a little hesitant.
Nervous.
Very nervous. He had no idea what to expect.
Education part of it, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. But just seeing him or even receiving text messages, hey, don't forget to do this. Hey, just breathe. It's like, oh my, okay. So he did his study. He's learning.
Yeah. And I think that's an awesome, he took the stigma. He took the, oh my gosh, my wife is this person, or she's all this without educating himself and realizing that a lot of people suffer from this.
Absolutely.
And so then when he did, he's like, okay, what are the tools I need to help with? And that's really awesome.
He started to learn that he's also suffered through it as well in his past. And it's like, okay, now they're two different types. Not everybody goes through the exact same thing, and not everybody feels the same way. And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's super cool. And that's important.
He's learning.
Yeah, he's still learning. He's always learning.
I'm still learning.
We're teaching him. So what are some of the things you want to tell people? What's your message?
Oh my gosh.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. I would say stay true to yourself. No matter what is around you, no matter who's around you, just stay true to yourself. That would probably be my biggest message.
And how have you done that for yourself recently?
Talking to myself.
Yeah.
And that sounds crazy, but talking to myself.
Reminding yourself who you are.
Absolutely. Looking in the mirror, sometimes we hate what we see in the mirror, but it's the truth. So
I do love that too, because people are always like, tell yourself in the mirror everything good and this and that. But sometimes I'm just having a real conversation with myself. Yep. I'm like, okay, this sucked today, but I'm still awesome. And I was shitty. Yeah. And you should stay true to yourself. I think you've gone through those moments where it was just you. And you were like, wait a second.
You have to be comfortable with yourself. And that's an everyday learning process. You can't just, overcome it in a night. It's you're your only self. Everybody around you is going to eventually go away, but you're only going to be the main one. So
Number one.
Keep
educating yourself, people. And I think, the poster child of what does mental health look like? People don't walk up to you like, oh, she has a mental health issue. You know what I mean? And that's what's so powerful about it, because we put this stigma on people and this is what it looks like. You're sick, you're in bed, all these things, but it's no, but we still can be suffering. You have to know that people are suffering. And I love that you share your story. I know it's super hard sometimes. I know every day you put the effort into, just like with any illness, right? You put the effort in to get through it and lead the life that you want to lead, but you're going to have hard days. But I think that's one of the most amazing things about you is how open you are about it now. Even though some days you're probably like, I don't want to share this shit.
I want to
Katy, get me off the mic. How dare you make me come here to talk about this right now. All right. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Stay true to yourself. Tell me where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram. I have multiple platforms.
She has all the platforms.
I do have all the platforms. My podcast is called What a Beautiful Mess.
Hmm?
So you can find me on Instagram.
You are a beautiful mess.
What a Beautiful Mess podcast. Or the Maria Parrilla. And on Facebook, you can find me everywhere.
Everywhere. You can just find her everywhere.
You really can.
I do love What a Beautiful Mess because I feel like a beautiful mess every day.
Yeah. That was from my song.
Because we are.
That was from my song.
Yeah. That's all right. It's yours now.
I love it.
It's her podcast now. So you can also find Maria on katyray.com, at The Real K Ray, Not a Great Whisper podcast, all the things. And we are at BKN Creative Studio in Ybor. And thanks for joining.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
I appreciate
I
it.
hope it lit a little fire in you for your podcast back up.
Absolutely. I'm going
Up
home
and
now.
run. Hey guys, some Thanks for joining.